Hello, everybody. Welcome to this December live stream Data Vault Innovators Community Q&A. I knew I was going to screw that up. There's too many hard vowels in there. How is everybody going today?
Hey, Paul.
Very well, thank you.
I'll say, based on the
Very
dinging,
well,
I'm sure things are doing fine. So I'm joined today by Julian Redmond. Nols, you're going to have to correct me if I screw this up, Nols. Nols Ebersohn? Sean?
Perfect.
Jeffries?
Yeah, but
something like that.
Yep.
And Richard Harris. So you guys are the experts when it comes to the Data Vault stuff, and I'm just the person who sits here with the nice smile and the fancy background, making sure that you don't rip each other to shreds when you disagree over something highly contentious, as I'm sure always happens in these conversations. You guys all ready for this and the hard questions that we've got lined up for you?
Ready to go?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely.
Very cool. So I'll ask the question first, and then whoever wants to tackle it, I think, could probably jump in on this one. And anybody who's watching, which number is very low at the moment, but anybody who wants to leave a message or anything like that can. We get those here as well, so we can ask those questions if they pop up, and I'll pull it up on screen so you guys can see it as well if somebody asks a question in the YouTube live stream. Super easy. So the first question I've got here is, what are the use cases for Data Vault?
Well, I think I can probably kick us off on this one. So there's a couple, actually. We're seeing some traditional ones. This week I was speaking to a client. We were actually recording a podcast for release very soon as part of our data dialogues. And I was asking about, why Data Vault, why the move to Data Vault? And his answer was quite telling. And that was, well, they had a data warehouse. In fact, he described it as a much-loved data warehouse, but it was built over a decade ago. And he said, if you were going to build a data warehouse today, you wouldn't build it the same way that you did 14 years ago. There are just better ways of doing it. So I think for those people who are looking to re-energize their organization and build a replacement data warehouse, Data Vault offers a great deal of advantages. It's agile. It allows you to conform with a lot of requirements that really weren't in consideration, going back even a decade. Things like being able to track lineage through the system, for example. So I think there is still that traditional use case of, well, I need to build a data warehouse. What methodology am I going to use? The third normal form approach had its day, but it has its problems. It has its challenges, particularly in a modern data environment. And so Data Vault presents an attractive alternative. But we're also seeing now new use cases, things like data migrations. We have a client in the Northern Territory who's been moving a great deal of patient data from old source systems. They have about 7 or 8 patient management systems. And as you can imagine, that makes life a little difficult trying to consolidate and get information on a single patient. So they wanted to push all of that into a new target system. And they built a Data Vault in order to land the data and to apply the transformation rules required to effectively link that information properly, and the auditability of that, being able to track, again, the lineage through and the certainty with which they're getting good linkages of that data, and that the information they're pushing through into the new target system is as accurate as can be. And that's been such a successful project, in fact, that we're about to start working with the same, with a related team, but still in the Northern Territory, to help the different police departments who, again, are using a number of different systems to move to a single platform to realize those opportunities of operational efficiencies by having a single source of truth, as it were. So they're probably the two that pops for me right now. Yeah.
I was just kind of wondering that lineage is obviously very important if you're dealing with something like medical data, because obviously you have to be able to track that from all over the place. Like the end user, for example, could have moved all over the country, and you still need to be able to track where that information is from. Is that lineage element something that people just haven't really given much thought about? It's more of a new outlook on how technology can work and how data can move around?
It's been, I'll grab this, Rich. It's been It's been a main part of information governance for quite a while now. It's really about proving the veracity of information. So, um, knowing where it came from, what happened to it on its journey, and then what it can be used for. The problem is in the past it's been manually stitched together. And now, through the combination of Vault and the automation tools that are used, and the power of the metadata tools, a lot of that stuff can actually be automated, and you can get lineage that gives you that end-to-end view. So that's pretty important. Just back to the original one, I think the other use cases, just quickly, a data vault is a great archive. It's a historical store of all source system facts over time, which means that you can use that as a way to decommission old applications as well, because all of that data is still there, still available. So as people do system migrations and try and modernize their application landscape, often they find themselves still maintaining an old system because they still sometimes need to access that data. Vault gives them that as well. So it is a warehouse, migration platform, and an archive all in one, which solves a lot of business use cases.
And if I can just add to the lineage question, we live in an increasingly customer-centric regulatory environment. And in the age of machine learning, where we have the potential for computers making decisions that affect human beings, part of where governance and regulation is coming from is organizations need to understand where and how an individual's data has been used, including what decisions have been made. And so having that lineage from start to finish is going to be a critical part of any governance architecture now.
Fantastic. Thank you. Right, next question. How does Data Vault fit into the world of the modern data platform?
Yeah, okay. So, there's lots of movement in the technology space. So we're seeing data fabric, data virtualization, lake houses, data lakes. There's lots of different technology platforms that are giving people different ways to bring data together, to consolidate their information, or to push their data queries out to the source systems where the data originally resides. All of those don't solve the problem of how do you integrate data. So they might give you a place to bring data together, but it comes together still in the silos. It hasn't yet integrated the information together around the business keys. So it doesn't allow you to query data across the full data set without having to do significant joins and really understand the information. And so, as these platforms evolve and give us different ways to either manage data or query data, whether you bring it together or you do it at source, we still need to understand the information and be able to join like data in a way that makes sense to an end user. And so Data Vault applies because it gives you that method for integrating data regardless of the technology platform. And there's a bit of confusion, I think, in the market that people will look at those technology approaches and they're being presented in a way like a methodology. But they're not. Just because it brings your data together doesn't mean it integrates your data. And that's probably a key message that comes out of the Data Vault community is Data Vault gives you that paradigm you can follow to integrate information.
Perfect. Anybody else want
I'd like to add on to? Sure.
Go for it.
The modern data platform is basically new technology for the same challenge we've had. Information is in of itself its own thing. And so from that perspective, that remains consistent. And this is where Data Vault really helps us to bring the consistency and approach to dealing with information with different varying technologies, allowing you to modernize your platform. So the challenge remains consistent. The technology does get some refresh from time to time, but the challenge remains. And so information integration is the key element that organizations need to resolve, which then brings it to a little bit of the overlap on the third question, but I'll leave that for the moment until the third question is posed.
Well, how about I ask the third question, and then that way we can tie it all in for you. The data virtualization and data fabric vendors say that their AI can dynamically build a data model. Does that do away with the need for data modeling methodologies and expertise?
The short answer would be no.
I'm probably all right. We'll see you later. Yep.
there's two implied questions in there. Is the AI actually there and capable, and then can it understand the information to a level that would actually allow it to create a usable data model? And I guess the first one is AI is evolving. Right now, there's very small bits of it, and maybe some of that is helping in some places to join, tables maybe with exactly the same column name or those sorts of things, are looking at the data and going, that is exactly the same. But nothing replaces the knowledge of an SME. When we do modeling, or when we help customers to model their data, we're really leveraging the understanding of the information in each system that their SMEs hold, and working out what is the actual business key and how do we bring those data sets together. And AI is not at the level to do that yet. It doesn't mean it will never happen, I guess, but Nols, I'm sure you've got a bit more to add to that.
AI is entirely beholden to metadata. So metadata is that which describes the data you deal with. When can we use it? Where can we use it? Who owns it? What's it used for? When can't I use it? What's its definition? Where do I find it? It's entirely beholden to that being available. And that is, unfortunately, in most organizations, vastly neglected. So AI, to some degree, is completely hamstrung by the lack of metadata that may exist. So that's one challenge. The other challenge is, as Julian pointed out, there's nothing that's going to tell you that this column called broker flag 07 on the broker table is in fact the investment choice business key that you need to use in your reporting structures. That level of innate understanding of the systems and the implementation, AI can't deal with. Not just yet. But it's probably one of those things it'll rarely, if ever, be able to guess that such. So there is a limit to what that could achieve. Are there reasonable first passes of certain data sets, if well described, if well formed? Sure, but you cannot go away without the necessary subject matter expertise to vet what has come out of those algorithms at this stage.
So I don't need to worry about a Terminator showing up anytime soon with AI algorithms. I don't need to freak out that much yet. Not quite at that stage yet.
No.
It's probably easier to pull a trigger than to model data, I think. So, maybe still worry a little bit, Paul.
How would it find you, though, without the metadata?
Yeah, that's true.
They have wouldn't know where to look. Let's jump on to the next question, which has nothing to do with killer robots from the future. How much does code automation really help? I'm trying to work out whether to hire another data engineer or to look at taking on some technology.
I've got a client right now, in fact, that was their whole business case. He's been hand building his data vault for a couple of years now. Has built actually quite a good data vault for what, considering he's on his own. But the business needed more and they needed it quicker. So the question was, well, do we use automation or do we hire another person? So we ran a pilot and managed to show that what would otherwise have taken him about 8 weeks took a couple of days using code automation and other tools. So that was a pretty convincing business case. Now, it's not always going to be one for one, but certainly automation in this day and age is kind of a must-have. It speeds up processes and takes away those niggly, repeatable tasks and freeing up those same resources to do things that are far more high value for an organization, such as creating insight that can be consumed by the business.
Yeah, I think add to that, good code automation tools are now delivering on a framework for testing and a framework for data access control and all those sorts of things as well. So it's not just how quick could someone type out some load code, but actually run the testing process, secure it, deploy it, version control it, all those sorts of things. So I think the paradigm for automation is just getting better and better.
Nols, anything
Something
you want to add
that
to it?
is sure. Something that is neglected as far as automation is concerned is maintenance. What if you don't have a particular hash algorithm available to you anymore? How do you go through that? If you have a mature data vault that has, say, a couple of hundred or maybe a couple of thousand tables or processes associated to it, how do you manage that? So maintenance is not just about development, testing, and deployment, but it's maintenance over time. Again, where code automation really starts to shine and becomes a hygiene process as opposed to a major initiative or project. So it goes right throughout the life cycle of your platform as such.
Makes a lot of sense. And for some weird reason makes me think of Wally, the little robot just sitting there doing the same thing over and over for thousands of years. Nobody checking up on him. It's so sad. So should we be spending more time on consumption layers and or automation of consumption layers?
The answer is yes, with one caveat.
Okay.
The secret sauce to automation for consumption is entirely related to how well you have established your business vault. Have you addressed your technical debt? And so the better you've addressed the technical debt, the better the automation opportunities for your consumption becomes the consumption layers. The more established the platform or the organization becomes in their skill, then the necessary configuration can be handed over to your power users, etc., to help simplify the consumption for most other users as such. And so that is absolutely that we do expect the data vault tools, vendors, processes, organizations will go through is in how to simplify and streamline the actual consumption out of the data vault. So for a lot of organizations, data vault is still a new topic. So how to get things into vault is very much top of mind. But when a vault is established, the question becomes more and more, how do we get it out? And that raises the two questions. How do we simplify it? And A, and B, how do we make that a seamless process? And this is where business vault, the business rules need to be addressed. And so that area will always be the black sheep of the stable, in that business rules, the technical debt is not what organizations would like to focus on, but they assume somebody has paid that technical debt. And so this is where business vault helps to sort of decouple those things so that you can get a sustained cadence of delivery in the business, because you have to address those technical debt elements as well.
Makes a lot of sense. Julian, Richard, anything you want to add to that?
I mean,
I don't think I can add anything to the wisdom of Nols.
I guess for a business audience, if there's business people, not technical people listening, is what Nols is saying is solve your business rules and and solve all your technical debt in the business vault, and then make your consumption layer as simple as possible. Because we want to iterate the consumption layer as often as we need to, and make it fit for the use case that it's going to be used for. So rather than creating a big, large, dimensional model, conform dimensional model covering all elements of your business, do single star schemas for the particular use case of a particular report, and you can do that quickly, and you can iterate it, and it's delivered as a view, and it's quick and easy, and so that's where you get to that prototyping aspect of that Vault can enable as well. So it's really about do the heavy lifting in the business vault, and then just deliver to the needs of particular users through the consumption layer. And you don't
Again,
have to
it's also
that.
beneficial from a governance perspective, because in this day and age, you need far tighter controls. And to Jules's point, banging out a data mart that can support 10 different business units is by definition going to increase your risk.
Nice. All right, next question for you then. When should I put my foot down around self-serve BI users creating business rules in their Power BI, Tableau, Click, Excel, etc. reports?
Straight away.
Okay. I'll break out the big stick.
Excellent answer.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Business Vault is where you solve those, is where you apply those rules. I mean, Nols?
An excellent answer straight away. The moment you need to apply a rule, no one is an island, no business is an island, no department is an island in and of itself. So you are creating enterprise collateral when you create new rules, new elements, such. Therefore, describe it, put it up, make it available, and publish accordingly, but make the data generally available. If you don't, then you have proliferation of rules, different rule versions being implemented. Which one are we looking at? We have arm wrestling matches at the director's level because one says X, the other one says Y, who's right? And so you want to get that consistency of delivery. It also frees up your consumption. Tableau, Click, Excel, Power BI, none of them scale well when it comes to complex business rules. None. It's not their role. It's not their architectural niche either. They need the data readily available, hence Business Vault being there, and then consumption and performance and ease, the ability to do self-service BI becomes possible. Can you prototype in your own little sandpit? Absolutely. Please do. Verify your requirements, verify that the actual results are in good hands, then make it available as just for data. And because of automation, it's quickly available. So the traditional barriers for bringing new data, new rules into the framework have been removed. So when you really need to understand why do people want to embed it in the information mart or the tools, because it's easy, allegedly. It's easy for right there and then. Thereafter, not so much, because now we have 1,000 different places to maintain in due course. So from a sustainability perspective, prototype on your own, no issue, but bring that result, make it a corporate asset, an enterprise asset, and make it generally available. Everyone's lives are simplified.
And when Noel says self-service BI, I should stress what we like to think is best practice is managed self-service. To Noel's point, making sure that what we're delivering can be consumed straight away rather than allowing people to apply their own business rules, because that's where chaos can reign.
Nobody wants chaos. Definitely not. All right. So the next question I've got here for you then looks like a bit of a double-barreled question. Now, experiences introducing self-service BI, how best to roll out direct Vault/IDM access to an organization? Is there any sort of thoughts that you guys have in this area? Anything that jumps out for you?
Joe Nols.
First and foremost, make sure you got your security sorted. Mm-hmm. You need to know who can and can't see what. So when it comes to rollout, that's the most fundamental question that needs to be answered firstly. But how do you roll that out? Directly is the best form. If the data is sufficient to deliver on the product, by all means do so as quickly as possible. Build your prototypes, bring it through, and deliver in thin slices. As progressively more requirements become available, of course, go through with it. There is some education required because you do have a few things that change along the way that need to be well understood. And so if you are doing a business rules or doing self-service BI, the insight, please don't stick the rules in the information mart, bring it to Business Vault. Is a change in how we've done stuff traditionally in the past. So there is change management involved, there is education involved, and you need to demonstrate this because the audience out there is suitably and well-founded skeptical. And so bring the evidence. And so the only way to do so is to walk the walk, talk the talk, and deliver as quick as possible. Prototyping is a fantastic mechanism to help the business to cut their teeth on these things. Now, some of the questions that would be tangential to this is, but woe be me, look at all the tables that Data Vault produces. And so I always counter that by saying, well, if I look at actually an enterprise say, federated dimensional data warehouse, which is traditionally what sometimes would occur. You know, you got lots of different businesses, lots of different data, so we just loosely federate them. They have as many or more.
Was this all designed by Star Trek fans? Talking about federations and enterprises. Is there Klingons in there somewhere I should be worried about?
Yes, the Klingons are called business rules. You need to deal with them specifically. There's special source for them. But from that perspective, there are ways to simplify for the end user what they see and how they interact with the data vault. And so this is where virtual dimensions and facts or virtual marts based on structures like point-in-time and bridge tables that take the join complexity, the join performance issues out of the equation, really helps to build that adoption. Now, not every person out there is going to build their own point-in-time and bridge table. It requires a little bit of technical nous. And so from that perspective, your power users or some of your technical IT teams may assist in these. But those are technical structures to help deal with simplification and performance. So it should not be a really big issue from an end user perspective.
Also, to bring it back to an earlier question, that's where automation also plays a great role. Yes, you're generating a large number of tables, but automation makes the job of managing that far, far easier.
Anything you want to add, Jules?
Oh, they've said enough. I can't add any more after Nols has given that detail. So, no, I mean, there is a reason why all the parts of Vault are how they are, and why you need Raw Vault, Business Vault, and information marts. It really progresses to providing the best quality information to the business. So you follow the standards, you get good results. That's the bottom line.
All right, I have one more question for you because we're coming up to our sort of half-hour limit. Obviously, this is a very busy, stressful time of year for everyone, with Christmas coming up. For those that are watching this in the future, this was live streamed just before Christmas. What are some of the things that people can look out for in terms of the data quality or the vaulting that they've got at the moment, or how they've got everything sort of warehoused, that might indicate that they really need to start reconsidering for next year how they go about upgrading their systems, upgrading everything that they've got, or changing how they're going about warehousing and vaulting their data?
I mean, I think there's obviously a lot of use cases and a lot of new use cases as well. There's also a lot of in the media right now, privacy issues and hackers and so doing a data vault review or a maturity assessment on your platforms and on your deployment is a really good place to start to make sure that you're addressing, the security around your PII data, access control, as Nols was talking about before, those sorts of things. Performance obviously is always a thing, and the cloud platforms are obviously solving a lot of that with just pure grunt. But obviously there's always architectural opportunities to optimize that sort of stuff. And then look at your team, and are they doing a lot of repeatable mundane tasks, and does automation maybe help relieve them of mundane stuff and actually look at high value stuff like looking for patterns in the data or analytics and those sorts of things. So I think if people are getting into that planning cycle, then that's the sort of stuff to think about: is what opportunities do we have to actually improve things, make things more consistent, more secure, and deliver to the business faster. And so, we obviously do lots of, data vault reviews for existing data vaults, or we do a maturity assessment for people who are about to embark on that and make sure that they help. So, that's probably our Christmas gift.
I'd answer that on the maturity side. Those of us in the data game have been railing up against the fact that the downstream, the business people out there have not been very aware of data. That's changing very fast. And so those organizations that can demonstrate they're managing their data well and they're putting it in the hands of their consumers, the managers, the operations departments, they're going to be more competitive when it comes to acquiring the talent they need to be successful. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, that as the new graduates come through, they are going to be more data savvy. They're going to demand access to that information. And if you've got an archaic data warehouse, that is going to inform their decisions about whether they come join you or stay with you.
Perfect. Nols, any
Given the
Christmas
time,
advice?
given the time, end of the year, some introspection is well called for.
Yeah.
Are you delivering reliably and consistently to the business? Are they happy with the progress? Are you getting ahead of the business requirements in due time? Do you deliver the right products that your business require? Is your team happy to come in and do the work? Are they excited about coming in and kicking some goals? So all of these introspective questions is well placed, sort of as you mull this over in the break time, once the initial haze of food coma has passed, that you want to sort of consider in the new year as to what do we do differently this year that helps us to accelerate what we need to do or win back our skeptical business because they have been burnt in the past by other initiatives, etc. So these are all great introspective questions which will help you guide you into, okay, if you need to do something different, what is that different and where do you go for advice and have a look at this. This community being a great place to ask those questions and see if there is any gems result.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Now that community is the Honeycomb community. People can also download the app directly from their app store for iOS and Android. Just do a search for Data Vault Innovators Community. It'll pop up, no sweat. I hope you guys have a great Christmas if I don't get a chance to talk to you before then, and a fantastic new year. Are you planning anything big personally? Going away for it? Staying home?
Family at home this year.
Family and home?
I'm traveling.
That's the theme.
Yeah, no, I'm going away. It's my wife's 50th as well, so we're heading overseas, which will be fun.
That sounds like a fantastic way to spend the holidays.
Yeah.
Damn, I should do that. Excellent.
Oh.
Thank you very much, guys. Now, don't forget, if you've got any questions as well, you can drop them into the comments section here, and we'll make sure they get answered next time round, or drop them into the community page on the posts on this, and we'll chase them up next time. Merry Christmas, guys, and thank you very much for everything.
Thank you, mate.
Paul.
Cheers, Paul.